Well, welcome back to our afternoon live event. We're glad that you guys have taken the time to join us for our final session of the day. So for the next hour or so, we're going to be learning about the advancements we're making and the direction of our development team. Our library development team is headed with the new library structure we've been working on. We encourage you to ask questions throughout and provide your feedback there in the chat, and we'll respond to those messages as we can. We'd like to welcome back Lenny and Jamie for leading this topic here today. Welcome, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
All right. Well, I'm going to release my screen, and you guys can take it away.
Okay. I'm going to start off here, sharing my screen, and then I'm going to kind of go over some high-level things, and then we will have Jamie show us some of the details. But I wanted to start, I'm trying to think how to start with this quick little show and tell, which is kind of for fun, but also there's a point. So this is a little old, back in the day, Microvellum CD, back in the days of CDs. And I was kind of going through this, and it's kind of a relic of these nowadays. And there's an old Microvellum software that this thing's probably vintage, late 90s, like a 99, 98, somewhere in there. Actually, I still kind of kept it. It's the original Microvellum install disk. And there's some other Autocad stuff in here too. But I was thinking about, that was probably the last time we, Microvellum really started a library, right? So Microvellum started, and we had a basic library, and it was really, really simple. And then over the years, you know, we thought, well, it's taking a little bit longer than we want to set up people. And so we added some more products, and we added some more features. And then it kind of went around to various different techs. And this tech would, you know, he wasn't quite sure what the previous tech was doing. And so he just kind of tacked on his own ideas, you know, and then it went to another tech. And, you know, I mean, I'm not saying it's not as bad as it sounds, but I think there was never like, hey, let's start over and rethink this whole thing, right? Over 20 years of lessons and experience, it's time we have a look. So we wrote down, you know, a vision about what we want to do to make, we feel like we can have something that's better. And so we wanted to create a new foundation that's based on a totally new structure. And this will also simultaneously allow kind of the retirement of a couple things. First, the Australian library, I don't know if those of you may not be aware, but we have a lot of users over in Australia, and they have a completely different library. So this new initiative is going to retire that and have a new one for over there. And then it'll be a new option for a while for North America and other markets, just kind of an alternative option. And maybe, eventually it would replace that as well. So it would kind of be a first step towards having that single flagship cabinet library. And this is also going to be a base or a foundation for what we call like a library expansion. You know, so you may just have cabinets, and maybe someday you want to get into closets or.
So she asked you where you want to go, because there's two things going on right now.
So we have somebody's on the phone. So yeah, so we'll have this library expansion, or like an add-on where you can have these other products, or can just be added on. And right now we kind of struggle with that. So the problem that we've had is, because we have these different markets that have different data sets, supporting the two structures, it's a lot of duplicate work, a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of other issues, you know, technical support. You have different products, you know, that behave differently with the program, different help videos or content. It just kind of causes havoc with that kind of consistency, and, you know, development efforts that maybe we do in one region don't help the other, and vice versa. So that was one of the problems. There was also some obstacles with how do we handle the imperial and metric better? How do we have materials like hardware that's not available in the different regions? Okay, so we've baked in to the program and in the toolbox Microvellum program, we baked in some solutions or ways to accommodate that. Yeah, and so basically having these expansion things were not really previous. So the process that we're taking is, we look here, we started with what we're calling a master product, which is, imagine like this product, like here we have a regular cabinet, here's a corner cabinet, here's a blind cabinet, okay? And each of these can, by prompts, morph into a base, a tall and upper, different interior component divisions, open doors, can just morph into really dozens of other cabinets. So we're honing in on that, and then we're getting that to where we like it, and then it's going to essentially clone into the rest of the library. So we have these different shapes, right? So like this is a angled cabinet, transition cabinet, and then we have your horizontal, vertical starters as masters. And then we're going to, sorry, I meant to do a PowerPoint. I know I failed to have a PowerPoint ready for everybody, I'm sorry. So we're just gonna have a look at my outline here. So we're gonna do the rendered help images, which you can see a little peek of some of them. Not only is the rendered images for the products, but also, you know, the pop-up images in the prompts, and the global variables, right? All those help images. So we've been rendering all new images. We're testing right now. We're at a test and evaluate stage. We're collecting user feedback. Several people in the Microvellum organization have, and several clients have gotten their hands on this for testing and feedback. So we're going to collect that feedback, make changes if we have to. Then we're going to enter into a beta stage before going to full deployment, right? And in there too, there's going to be, we're going to document absolutely as much as we can, so that it is a little bit different from what, if you're used to the older one, there are some differences for sure. We'll get into that in a little bit. Some of the advantages of this new structure, I started writing down some advantages. Sorry, I guess I already mentioned that one. So yeah, the shared benefit across all regions. We have some excellent, talented data developers all over the world. So it doesn't make sense to, you know, when Heddick or Bloom or somebody comes out with a new drawer system, having to develop that numerous times just is really, it doesn't make sense. So we're going to have it just develop it once, and it'll benefit everybody. I already mentioned this, consistent documentation, online video presentations, less confusion, you know, when it comes to doing services. Our service providers can help one another. Documentation between the two reasons. One database. So right now in the North America, we have to service Imperial Solutions and Metric. And so the way we've done that is we've had to maintain two databases, mainly because of the materials. You know, it was too cumbersome and it was problematic having all the material being there twice. So, so anytime there was an update, you know, we had to basically do it twice. So that has now been unified into one database that can morph either way. So that's going to be excellent. We've also really streamlined how the formulas are written. Not only are the formulas just shorter, but because we were kind of started from scratch, we don't have situations where we're just tacking things on to the end. We've rewritten stuff. We have, the formulas are more direct, okay, meaning they don't hop from this cell to that cell to this cell to that cell. You know, we took a reset of all of that, and so now it's much quicker to get to the source of a formula, or to get to the source value. We're also keeping a close eye on the performance. So each step of the way, we're monitoring performance, we're doing speed tests, making sure that we're not doing anything that's going to put an unreasonable load on the performance, because speed is one of the biggest killers, right? When you're trying to get your workout done and it takes half hour or an hour to process a work order, that's not a good thing. So we want to minimize that as much as possible. And withdraw time, every time you redraw a product, it should just be more snappy. Unfortunately, we are seeing that as a result. It's really nice. The other problem that we want to, we're putting thought into is updating libraries. Right now, it's quite a laborious process, right? To start over again with a new library, or if there's something new feature comes out, how can I add that? And so we are structuring it in a way that it's much more plug and play, and perhaps even someday automated, to where we can have a utility that can just add this feature and it's not going to stomp on anything. And so we're making it future proof in that regard. So as we look at this, you may notice, gee, how come they didn't put that feature in there? Admittedly, this does not have every single feature that the version 50 or the North American library has. And we're sort of intentionally doing that. We're not rushing to just put everything in there. That's part of the problem with the version 50 library, frankly, is we feel like there's too many options in there. And so what ends up happening is it just creates clutter, excess clutter. So you're sifting through all this stuff that you're not using. It also slows everything down, makes the formulas more cumbersome. So we're keeping it really lean down, trying to keep it real simple. And one of the benefits of that is if there is something that you need to add, we're finding it to be a whole lot easier to add it in either yourself, or even if a tech does it, it's just easier just because of the way it's structured. So yeah, we left the most popular features in there. Okay, so I'm gonna have a look at some of the master products, and then we'll queue up Jamie here. Get ready. I'm gonna flip it over to you, Jamie. We can kind of take a look at some of the specifics. Jamie will show us the prompts of these, but like I said, we've got, I just went ahead and drew them out right here, what we've got. I think, Jamie, on your system, you even have one more. I don't know if you're ready to show us any angle, but here's the master cabinet.
It's getting there.
It's getting there, yeah. Jamie's working on, these are like well, I think that makes sense of what I mean by master. So like I can take this guy, right now it's a base, and if you flip over to product type, like I want this to be upper or wall, and it'll just turn into that. So it's all baked in there, and all of these have the same idea. In fact, you can almost draw a full-fledged kitchen with just these master products. Corner, blind, any angle. But also, Jamie's going to show us that. Hopefully, you can show us, Jamie, the angle hinges. Mine there, I don't have them showing up here. I think I'm missing a graphic, but Jamie's been working on the angled hinges, which is kind of a library geeky thing. I was really stoked to see how we went about doing angled hinges. Of course, a lot of our users, they were concerned about, are you going to have, someone asked me, are you going to have the starter products? And we don't call it a starter product in here. It's like a designer cabinet, which is basically the same thing, where you can specify what you want in each opening. So maybe while I'm going to stop sharing, while Jamie gets sharing his screen, I'm going to take a look at the questions in the chat. Impressive. Where are these? So the question from Kevin is, this library is not officially released at the moment. It's been in development for over a year, actually. off and on, we've been, at different stages, we've been putting extra emphasis on it. So yeah, you're just getting a sneak peek of what's around the corner, basically.
So you can see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So like Lenny was saying, we're trying to develop a library that's going to be a lot easier for the end user, and also for the development team in our techs. At the moment, we're pretty much developing so many different libraries. We're building products 10 times, and it's just not needed. We can now, with this new library, we'll be able to create a drawer box, like Lenny said, drawer box once, and it'll plug into everything, be it wardrobes, our standard kitchen cabinets, office furniture. So that's sort of our mission, to make it a lot easier for everyone. What we'll do is we'll jump into drawing some cabinets here. So let's come into drawer. Like Lenny said, we've got these master cabinets. So we're building these cabinets that are going to morph into pretty much 90% of the library. It's not going to do every single possible, but it's going to do most of the cabinets. So we can pretty much build the whole library from these. Now, by doing that, we're going to be able to have all our machine tokens, all our prompts, everything's more unified as well. So like Lenny was saying, when we get into library designer, it's going to be a lot easier to update and change the library. So what I'm going to do, I'll jump in, draw one of these master cabinets here. So a big emphasis too is trying to keep the prompt screen simple as well. So we've tried to really simplify this, make it a lot easier for the end user, especially if you're just drafting. We don't want hundreds of tabs up here and hundreds of prompts to go through. So we've streamlined this quite a bit. You'll notice on the main screen here, we have these prompts here. So we can tick on these and we can show additional tabs. Now that can be turned on in the globals as well. So you might always want to show your construction options here. So we can tick that on and show our construction options. So if I tick that, you'll see now I've got our construction options here as well. If we want more advanced options, we can tick on and show our advanced options. And here we are, we've got our advanced options with our, which we can morph these cabinets into a base cabinet, tall, upper, open cabinets, and so on. So pretty much that's the way this is designed. So you can come in here, we want a one door base. We can pretty much go through our settings here, construction options. Now this is all linked to our globals as well, but most of our prompts are product level as well. So we can come in, set all this in our globals, but we can also change it per product for the construction options. With the advanced construction options, we've got even more settings here where you can actually change the construction methods from left, right, back, top, bottom, the nailers, the toe kick, and so on. So I've got a lot more versatility in this product than we had before. So if I just draw that for now. There we go. So you can see here, we've just got a one door base. Now, from our prompts, we can morph this into anything we want, really. We've got our internal options. So these components, these are what we call internal components, subassembly inserts, and there'll be more and more down the track as well. So at the moment, we've got a few here, but we can change these to whatever we want. So the structure is we've got our internal components, and then we've got our face options. So with our face options, this is going to be drawers, doors, lift up doors, and so on. So for this cabinet here, I might want drawers. You'll see here, as soon as I tick on that drawers, we've now got our drawer options here for how many drawers, what type of drawer, the drawer box heights, and so on. So if I just go okay to that. There we go. Now we've got a drawer cabinet. So as quick and easy as that, we can pretty much build the whole library. We can have a one drawer, two drawer, three drawer, and just start saving all that back to our library. So if we come back in again, now you'll notice too, when we're hovering over these prompts here, we're starting to change a lot of the images here. So these prompt images down the bottom screen here. So we've had a lot of help from Nick that's been doing all these renders for us, which has been a great help. But it just gives the user bit more information on what each prompt does as well. So yeah, so if I come back in here, like Lenny was showing you before, if I come in here, change it to a tool cabinet, we'll go back to our, so left swing door. There we are. So we now have our tool cabinet.
Yeah, you notice how fast that drew?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, it definitely is drawing a lot faster. And like
For a second there, I did not think it redrew. I just thought he changed the drawing or something. It just popped in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's drawing pretty quick. Like we still have quite a few sub-assemblies and different things here, and we've probably got actually more options in this cabinet than most cabinets, but we've tried to keep it quite lean with the formulas, as Lenny said. A lot of the blocks, we're redoing a lot of the blocks as well, cleaning those up. So yeah, that is one of our main goals, is trying to make this a lot quicker as well. So our mission statement in the office is sort of simple, stupid. So we're trying to make it as simple as possible for everyone to use and understand. So we're gone are the days of these massive lookup tables for our hinges and different things to work all that out. We're just trying to make it a lot simpler. We still have lookup tables in there, but not quite as complicated. But yeah, the speed is definitely a lot better. So that's pretty much just our basic cabinet there. We have quite a few options. We can split that. So if I come in to our internal options, I can put a center shelf in here. Okay. And what they'll do is it'll pretty much split it into two bays now. So we have the two bays. So we've got that fixed shelf there, and then we've got options for both the top and bottom openings now.
I just want to say we're getting some really good questions. So I'll go ahead and Jamie, just go through the outline that we had prepared, and then I think we'll have time. We'll circle back. I want to go over live some of these questions.
Yep.
So hang in there, guys. We'll go get to your questions.
No worries. So yeah, so it just gives us a few more options here. It just splits it up into a couple of bays for us. And that's pretty much in all our standard cabinets, our standard design master cabinets here. We've got that option to split it into. If we jump into, say, a corner cabinet or a pie cut, as they say in America, I think. So here we go. So we've got our basic corner cabinet here, and everything follows all the same rules. We have, we can show our advanced tabs here. We have our internal options. Excuse me. We have our face options. So if I go back to, let's just change this here. So at the moment I've just got a pie cut front. We can change it to an angled front, if you like that as well. So before we'd have 3 or 4 different cabinets to try and accommodate this. Now we've just got the one cabinet. But if we go back in here, go to our advanced options, change that to a tall, you'll see here we still have all the same features. So there we are. So we've got that splitter in there. One cool little thing. Sorry,
you're gonna show them the shelf, Jamie.
Yep.
Yeah, I love this shelf.
So let's just go one shelf here. Maybe 2 at the top. Okay, that's cool. We will have. I'm still working on this, but we will have prompts in here to actually change the shelf in the main product itself. But for now, if we come into our sub-assemblies here, we can actually change the shape. So I might do this for product. There we go. So we now have this. It's probably a bit hard to see. There, I'll go to the top view. Yeah.
That'd be good, like a pantry. Yeah.
So we now have this shaped shelf. Now if we come into sub-assembly prompts, once we tick on that, we've got all these additional prompts here that we can change the shape, the setbacks and everything like that. So I can change that to, say, 20 degrees. And there we are. So we've got quite a lot of control over the radiuses, the angles, the setbacks of the shelves as well. So quite a cool little addition for the walk-in pantries there.
So just to clarify, based on some of our questions, this isn't the Australian library. This is the new International Planet Earth library.
Yes.
Okay, so there are some elements that, yes, we've incorporated some technology or some features from the Australian library, but also there's elements and features from the American library. It's all being baked in together, the best of both worlds.
It is. For instance, like in Australia, a lot of people will use either a ladder kick or our knock and feet here. We generally don't do the notch toe kicks, but saying that, we can quickly just come in here, change it either at a global level or at a product level there. So we are.
And same with, you can change, and right now it's mortise and tenon or dado, but you can right there on the fly, right from the product, change it to dowel or screw and finished end too. That's really nice. That's something that's killed us in the past with the older library. You can have different construction at finished ends.
Yep.
You know,
So
if you're doing, sorry to interrupt you, Jamie.
No, you're right.
I just have these thoughts. I'm like, oh, it's so cool. The invisible fasteners like lockdowel, for example, you know, a lot of times we want to only do it at a finished end. So this can easily, it's set up already to do it.
Yeah. So that's just a matter of just sticking on the left or right finished end, and under your construction options, you'll see that you've got a finished end construction method, and you'll notice that we've got a lot more construction methods than we've ever had in the past. So if I went to a hardware array,
If you were at the meeting yesterday, we saw what hardware array was.
So you can see here now we've got that different construction on the finished end here as well. So everything going into that finished end. And we also have the control over our we come into, say, this shelf here. We've now got construction options there as well. So we can change all the construction options just on that one shelf, left, right, or back as well. So a lot of versatility there for all our sub-assembly inserts as well. We can change the construction method. We might want the whole cabinet mortise and tenon, but the shelves we might just want screw, so or cam. So we can do that as well. So we have quite a few different options there. Like in the past, our construction methods pretty much just was mortise, screw, cams. We didn't even have, like in Australia, we didn't even have dowel construction really. So it was quite limited. Now we've got quite a few different variations there as well. Just cancel that. So that's two basic cabinets. Now, what we have been working on as well is our angled cabinets, something I've always wanted to get stuck into and get a better cabinet. So this is our transition angled cabinet. So we can come in here and we can adjust the angle or adjust the depth. So if we went adjust depth, we can choose the depth right, or if we flicked it to an angled left, we'd select the depth left. So we just leave it on our adjust angle here. This once again follows all the same rules. Our face options, our internal options. Now you will notice here we've got less internal options just for the nature of this cabinet. We're not going to have pigeonholes and divisions and different things in there. We can add more later on, but at the moment we've just got some basic ones in here, and I'll explain how these lists work as well. So we'll just go okay to that. Now this will come up with these angled cabinets, just a warning saying, hey, double check your hinge plate setbacks. Being in an angled cabinet, especially with angled hinges, you have to just, you know, if you change one thing like an inset, like your door reveals, or the angle, there's just so many different variations for hinge plates, which we will go into as well. So if I go to our hardware here, we do have a prompt here for our hinge plate setbacks, and that just varies so much. So it's just giving you a warning saying, hey, have you double checked your setbacks for your hinge plates? If you have, we just go cancel. Yeah, and here we go. So here's our transition cabinet, and as Lenny was saying, we've been doing quite a bit of work on our angled hinges as well. Just go to the top view here. You'll see here we've got all our angled feet, but also our angled hinge there. If I come back in here, I can change it to a right. Now, if I went to 15-degree angle, what it's going to do is it's going to try and choose the nearest hinge to that. Of course, all depends on the supplier. As you're probably most people are aware that you pretty much got your 10, 15, 30, 45-degree hinges, and it sort of works off that. So if that was 12 degrees, it would put in a 15-degree hinge. It brings in the closest one to that angle. Once again, we'll go through that and show you how that works as well. So that's our transition. Diagonal cabinet here, just a straight diagonal cabinet, angle left or right. Of course, this is just going to be 45 degrees. And once again, you've got the correct hinge there. So we've got both positive and negative angled hinges. So if I come in here and change that to a 2-door, we've now got pretty much the same hinge here, but if we went to this transition cabinet, change that to a 2-door, theoretically we're going to have a positive and a negative angled hinge, as you can see here. There we go. So cool little additions like that are going to make life a little bit easier as well. So it's going to do all the machining for that. I think one thing Lenny was asking was this any angled cabinet I'm building at the moment. This might explode. I'm still working on it, so we'll have a look. But generally, the idea of this cabinet here is we can pretty much do any angle we want. So we'll just go okay to that. Fingers crossed. As you can see, there's still a bit more work to do on it, but there we go. So we've still got a bit of work to do with the inserts and getting all those correct, but pretty much what we can do with this is pretty much do any angle we want, so it can follow the angle of the wall. And there are a couple of other additional cabinets that we want to put in, angled cabinets and curved cabinets as well. So there will be more master cabinets here that we can morph into whatever we want throughout the library. What I wanted to go through now, if we go into our specification groups here, you would have seen a little bit of this from yesterday if you were on yesterday with Lenny. If we come into our wizards here, our hardware wizard. Okay, so in here, this is where we can change our hinges and our mounting plates. So you'll see here that we've got a pointer for our hinges for full overlay, half overlay, inset. If we come down here, this is our pointers for our hinges. So we've got 15, 20, 30 and 45-degree pointers. So what the cabinet's going to do, it's going to look at the correct pointer or the closest pointer to that angle. So we can set these hinges up just simply by clicking on this. We can go to our hardware library here, go to our hinges, and we can select whatever hinge we want from here. Now, you might have a supplier that has a 12-degree hinge. Well, then we'd put that 12-degree hinge to the closest degree here. So I'd put in that 15-degree here. So you've got your positive and your negative hinges. If we go to our mounting plates, we've got the same thing for our mounting plates. So all our different mounting plates, we have different mounting plates for our angled or our half or full overlay hinges. So it gives us quite a bit of versatility there. Our drawers, so we can set up our drawers, our default drawers for the project. Now, if I go to this additional hardware, this is where we can come in and change our cams, screws, our dowels, our invisible fasteners, our hardware array, so what we want for our hardware arrays. Now before, if we wanted different cam styles, we would have to go into our globals and change all our settings and setbacks and diameters and depths and everything through our globals. Now what we can do, at the moment we just have some simple ones here, so it's just a simple cam, but we can have a list of cams and screws and dowels that we can just come in here, quickly change the whole project to a different cam or to a different hardware fitting. So I tried to sort of future-proof it for construction methods. So with our hardware edge array, we can pretty much create different pieces of hardware that we can array along the edges of our cabinets for our construction method. So it's quite a cool feature that uses a pretty cool machine token that's been added. So yeah, it's just, like I said, it just future-proofs that, so we can put a lot more different construction methods, like the invisible fasteners, the lock dowels, and so on. So if we just jump out of here and we go into our workbook designer here, I just want to show you where that lives with the lists. So if we come into our H workbook here, lookup tables. So what we can do here is we can list out all the different cams here. We can list out what hardware it's using. So we can now, on all our machine tokens, we can actually quantify the cams and the pins and screws, all that kind of stuff as well. So that would just be the hardware name that we want to quantify. And then we can go through our settings, a bit like what we would in our globals. We'd set all our offsets, our depths and diameters along here in this table. But we're now not limited to just one cam. We can have a whole series of different cams that we can quickly flick to. Same with screws. We might have called a conformat screw. It might be quite different. So you can, same thing. You can come through here and set up all your different screws, different dowels. You might have a 10 mil dowel, an 8 mil dowel. You can come in here and change that as well. Invisible fasteners. So this is all our invisible fasteners here. So all the information for those. We've got our hardware array. So once again, we can have a list of all our different hardware arrays here, then we can set those up as well. So this works in conjunction with the machining of the hardware itself and this hardware edge array token as well. We can actually add more to it than just, we can actually have the horizontal boring as well for a piece of hardware. So yeah, it definitely gives us a lot more control, a lot more options for our construction methods. And once we've got this set up, it's going to be a lot easier to transfer from one to the other in a project. Have you got anything else to add on that, Lenny?
No, I think that's really a good way of explaining it. Were you going to show the lists in the F workbook? Yep. So, how you can add.
So what we've done now, instead of having all our lists in the globals, we're really thinking about future updates. The last thing we want to have to do is when we update someone's library is come into the globals and have to, put them a new global file in, go through all their globals, reset them. What we've done is in the F workbook here is we've got lookup tables in here, and this is where all our lists are going. So this here actually is the template for every project. So when we create a project, it still looks at this. It doesn't create the F workbook for the individual project. So we can come in here and add stuff to this, and it's going to update every single project. Also, if we update this, it's not really going to affect anything else but the F workbook. So yeah, it just means that when we do plugins, if we have extra inserts, we can update this list, update everyone, and it's not going to affect their data set at all. So you'll see here we've got a few different list names here. So for our face options, for our corner face options, angled face options, so we can have different face options. So at the moment, you'll notice here that if I click on that one there, we don't have the drawers in our angled cabinets. So it just breaks those lists out per cabinet. If we go into our, where are we? Inserts, you'll notice here in our standard inserts, we've got a few there, but if we go to an angled cabinet, we've only got the couple there. So we can break those lists out depending on what type of cabinet it is. The last thing we want to do is have a list that has everything in there, and you try and click on that and it doesn't work or it doesn't show up in that product.
So I also add, notice how the different regions are different columns. And the reason for that, I mentioned earlier that we're making this, you can specify different things that are available per region. So for your drawer options, there may be, it's the way the hardware industry works. They'll market different, even names. It could even be the same hardware actually, but it's a different name in Australia or New Zealand versus the US or even the UK. It could be a different list of what's available. So one of the first things that you do when you install this library is in the globals, you specify what region are you living in. And then it'll change a whole number of things, including these lists. In Australia, they'll do a door swing line opposite that they do in the US. And so by changing your region, right there where Jamie's showing us, that'll change a number of things that are specific to the region you're in.
Yeah. And this is what I was talking about too with the tabs. So this is where we can come in and tick on these to show all the tabs, or we might just want a construction option, so we can actually turn that on just for the construction options only. But yeah, so this thing with the region is helping us out quite a bit. There's certain things we can turn off and on per region, especially drawer boxes. A big thing, there'd be drawer boxes aren't available in the US and are in Australia and so on. Also, some of the settings, we might have a Legra box. Sometimes the settings are different in each region as well. We might have certain drawer heights that are not available as well. So if I just jump out of that, we could quickly show that as well. Go back to so if we come into the actual workbook of the drawer box here, come up to our lookup tables, across, you'll see here too, we've got different regions here. So there'll be different drawer types available in different regions, different runner lengths, and so on. So all our drawer boxes are pretty much getting built this way as well. It follows the same structure.
Notice it's also self-contained. So all this information is, if you notice, not in the global variables. So to give somebody a new or to update their drawer system, you literally just add a subassembly, update the list, and you're done. You don't have to interfere with, putting extra lookup tables all over their global files. Yep. I think a lot of you will follow what I mean by that.
Yeah. So, and setting up new drawer boxes as well, it's quite easy. It looks pretty daunting at this stage when you're looking at these lookup tables, but once you understand it, we'll do master classes on a lot of the stuff. It is quite easy to actually set up a new drawer box. Probably the hardest thing in doing this is getting all the graphics for it. But the actual machining and the usability of it is quite easy to change there. So yeah, that's pretty much what we've been doing here, especially for the drawer boxes. But the good thing too, with the way this works, is we could save this back. You might be scared that the update, we set out a new drawer box update, you're scared that it's going to affect your products. You can also save these products back as a different subassembly, and then it's quite easy when we come back to the workbook here for our list here. You can actually just put your drawer box right there. So any new drawer boxes you can put in there. Of course, that's something we'd have to be aware of when we are updating, that you've added some stuff to your lists here, but it's a lot easier checking this list than going through a heap of different globals. Yeah. So as you can see, there's been a lot of thought process done on the actual regions, where just over, like Milton has been saying in the past, it's been a nightmare for the developers really. We'd pretty much for each region we'd develop this drawer box. So sometimes we might develop that 4 or 5 times when there was just really no, well, in the past there was a need, but now there will be no need. We can just draw develop the one, and that's going to affect every single region. So you're going to benefit from pretty much every region, all the development and from our different techs. It's going to be a lot easier for our support guys as well to support this library. So it's going to be a win-win for everyone with that.
Want to take a couple questions, Jamie? You ready?
Yes.
So a couple good questions come up. One of them, does this have formula-driven materials? So I was going to show them that spec group, that one. How would you?
Yes. If we come into here, we can actually change it here. So we do have this unitless one here. I think it was that one I set up, which has the formula materials. So if I come in here, so we do have our formula generated materials here, and same with our edging as well. Where are we? There we go. So our edging. So the way that works, if we just jump back out of here, we go into the
show the
project wizard.
No, it's in the M.
Oh, sorry,
wizard.
there's two. Sorry.
Yeah, that guy.
Yep. Parts here, that's right. So here, so with that, we can come in here and we do have a lookup table of, so try to make it easy so we could have a full list of all your materials here. So you can have a list there, or we can go in and customize. So we can come in here, click on that for material one. We can give it a name, thickness, length, width, the grain, the pricing, handling code, and so on. So we can go through that and change that to whatever we want here.
Maybe show us where that is. Show us where in that lookup table that might connect the dots of how really easy this is.
So if we come in here, go to our materials, look up. So here we go. So this is our custom list here. So we can go through here. We can set all this up here. And this is our list of materials. So that's...
And so in the green area, you would just replace those with your materials, and then they'll show up in that list.
So that way, you can quickly just add a list of all your materials instead of having to add them to the M workbook there. We can just come in here and just add pretty much copy and paste. You might have a spreadsheet, you can just copy and paste in here, and then you've got your whole list of all your materials for your formula driven, or these ones here are the actual formula driven materials. Sorry, they both are, but this one here is the one where we can it updates these here, which is what the material looks at for all the different cells to populate.
Cool.
So,
and the next, I think that's good. The next question was, because one of us had mentioned about the formulas are simpler, and so the question was, I guess they want to see like how are the formulas tiered? Like, do we go from global? I guess show like in the cut parts. We haven't really looked at that yet. The cut parts of a product, and show where, a lot of the variables go directly to the global instead of a local. And so the question is, are we going to have less control over, making local changes?
Well, you're not, because the way we've done a lot of things, it's still like for materials, changing materials and stuff like that, it's still looking at the pointer. So our prompts, I should say. So a lot of our formulas are still looking at localized prompts in here. It's just not looking at lookup tables and going from one cell to another to another. We're trying to keep it as simple as possible. So the paths, as straight a path as possible is what we're trying to do. You're still going to have, like I said, our localized prompts. So just come.
One thing where it became really evident is when you're in part properties, and say you're looking at a token and it says, the diameter of a hole, a drill was looking at a local, it didn't show you what global to go change that.
Yeah.
So it was really difficult to find. Whereas this, it's easier to read.
Yeah. One cool thing in here, this is a suggestion from Tim Skolman, is every time we come in here, we used to just have a 0 when the machine token was turned off. So now we've actually added the name so we can still see what machine token it is, even though it's turned off. So it just makes it a lot easier to navigate. When we're coming through here, we can still see exactly what machine token it is, even though it's off. So it was a cool little addition there as well. So if we went into, and you'll notice too in the formulas here, you'll notice this here, which is actually looking up what piece of hardware we're adding to quantify for that machine token as well. So we can actually quantify all the screws and cams, like I said before.
It'll populate the reports. Yeah.
Yeah, that will. You will also notice too that we're using the same our dowels and our screws. Gone are the days where we're using the one where you'd have to go, how far we're coming in from the front, how far we're coming in from the back, then how many screws we want, the width or length divided by this for if it was this size, and so on and so on. So we're using this.
So instead, we're not using the construction, the CONST token. We're using everything holes.
Yeah.
Holes token.
So we're using these holes tokens here. So if I go to, let's just say,
do you want to look at it per properties? Is that maybe easier?
I'll come in here. So left screw there. So if we actually come into the formula here, let's open that up. Now, I know we're saying it's simpler formulas. Sometimes you'll look at this and think, oh, that's a lot more complicated, but we are looking at not only just our automated screw placement, we're actually looking at custom as well. So we can actually customize our screw spacings for system 32 and so on. But the good thing is, if we come in here, highlight this formula here, come down here, we can break that down by using that. So the way it works now is it sort of still works the same. How far we're coming in from the front edge, how far we're coming in from the back edge. But we also have what we call a target screw spacing. So an offset as well, and not to exceed that target spacing. So to explain that, if I just jump out of here, just close this, you'll notice I'll actually just go to a thick back. It was a bit easier on the back as well. So okay, I'll just change that back to just screw construction. Okay, so you notice the screws here in the back here. Okay, so there's a lot of people say, well, hey, I want our screws to be 400 mil apart. So it's no longer, we don't have to specify how many screws we want and the size and this size and this size. We just have a target spacing. So if we can come back into the global file here, go to our machining, screws. Okay, so you'll see here, there's our target spacing. So we're saying 450 mil. So pretty much our screws are going to be spaced 450 mil. We've got this tick box here to say that we don't want it to exceed that target spacing. So it will not exceed 450. If we untick it, it'll be roughly around that 450. And you notice here as well, we've got quite a few more options for the setbacks for our screws, for front, back, left, right, bottom, top setbacks. And for our, you'll see here as well, we have the small part threshold as well. So once it goes under that size, it will start looking at this small distance from part edges as well.
So that's not the only way to do hole patterns. Like what if you have an older dowel insertion and the dowels have to stay on a 32?
So to change that,
the tables.
Yep, we can change that to our custom spacing here. And you can change that per product, but you can do it in the globals as well. And what that will do, I'll just jump out of here, go into our workbook, global, look up. Now you see here, once again, it's been broken out as well. So we've got lookup tables here. And if we come up here, here's our screw custom spacing. So we can, so this sort of follows the same rules as the old one a little bit, just a little bit
And
update
you
it a little bit.
can literally dial in exactly where each screw or dowel
Yep.
is based on the panel size.
Yep. And then we'll have our metric, and over here we've got our imperial once we flick our units over. So you find in a lot of formulas, you'll see these unit conversions that we're using, just simply because we can put a metric value or an imperial value in, and it will convert that depending on what region you're in there. But if we go back into, now that we're seeing the globals here, come back in here, have a look at that. Again, this is a special little formula here, which is quite handy. That works out our spacings for our screws. So if we open that back up, once again, you'll see there that there's distance in from the front, the back edge, and there's that target spacing. And we can actually offset our screws as well. And then here, do not exceed that target spacing as well. So it's a bit of getting used to. There's some newer formulas in there that we've never really utilized before. But building this new library, we can utilize pretty much all these different tokens that we've never really utilized before, and all the formulas in those as well. Have you got something to add on that, Lenny?
No, I think that's, I mean, it may be any other questions. Yeah, they can just let us know in the chat. One of the other questions I didn't get to when you were looking at the prompts, they wanted to know, what does show item number options mean? Somebody, Abe, was wondering that.
Okay. So if we come back into there, so the item numbers here. So if we come into our item numbers, it just gives us an option to be able to place those item numbers wherever we want. So some people might want them right at the front of the cabinet, the back of the cabinet, left or right. So we can actually come in here and change that 3D and the 2D item number as well.
Yeah, if you have a complicated product too, where it's like a L-shaped desk unit or something, you could just put that item number exactly where you want it.
Yep.
Cool. And the last question I see here is having to do with 2D. So I guess maybe there was a concern or a question, is this going to be the 2D plan and elevation drawing the same as in Australia or in North America? What approach?
The approach, so if I click on here now, show 2D drawings here. So what we are doing, we'll have a lot more information here as well, but it's sort of taking the approach of both really. It will have all the 2D drawings, but just a little bit more simplified, I think. It's still going to have the detail that everyone needs, and that's just going to be on user feedback as well. If there's stuff we need to put in, we'll put it in.
Yeah.
We'll also we go to our flat shots. So our dynamic flat shots, we've got a tab for that. Whether we want to show all the views, we can turn them off and on and show drilling and so on.
Have we tested that yet, Jamie? Can we show that real quick?
Yes.
In case some people may not be familiar with what that dynamic product image is.
I might be in the wrong template actually. I'll check it.
We won't hold you to it if it doesn't work. It's basically a token that lays it all out.
Yeah, no, that's not the right template because of the
Okay. And speaking of template, that was one of our questions. Has the Autocad template been updated? I think it's safe to say it is very different than what we've been shipping before. All the layers are new, right?
I'll just try a new room. I think I might just have the wrong template up. Yeah, I did.
Oh, you had the Imperial?
Yep. There we go. For now. There we go. That looks a lot better.
Oh, there we go.
Get some color.
So basically that's coming from the data, and you can
so you can
move them around, and it's all kinds of different things you can do with that. And that'll show on a report too if you want.
Yeah. So we might just want. There we are. So we can change that as well.
Cool.
Yep, and the more our brains tick over, the more stuff we'll get in and modify. But definitely user feedback is going to be good to get.
So I'm looking through my notes, Jamie, just make sure we got everything. We're kind of wrapping up at the hour mark, so I don't think we have very much time left. Right. So if you have any other questions from the group, please, put them in the chat. But until then, I thought about the offset polyline. Like maybe on a corner cabinet, explain how the edge band thickness works and all that. Yeah. Basically, any part that has a non-original edge. So this is a pie cut is a good example, and you're going to often require edge banding. We want to account for that.
Yep. So let's come into this product here.
Yeah, there's a couple things going on. Yeah, there's the edge band token also.
Yeah. So here's our machine token, our polyline for that. So if we come into that there, we have this offset polyline that we can add to our vectors here. So if we come in here, we're saying we want to offset these vectors here. Okay, there's our bulge list. But what we can do is we can offset it a certain amount. So we've got this edge allowance. So it's going to offset that route 1 mil or whatever our edge thickness is. So that's pretty much allowing for that. So it's so much easier instead of having to offset it in all our vectors manually or doing it ourselves. We can now just offset that to whatever we want. So if I just jump into our prompts here, I'll scroll down.
Let's put like a 3 mil edge banding where you can see it in 3D.
So I could do that. So 3 mil there.
It'll make it more obvious.
See here now, you've got that 3 mil offset there for aging. Also in conjunction with that, before we could quantify for the edging on non-original edges. If we come across here now, we've got another machine token here that we can set up. So pretty much with this one here, all we're saying is what we want our edge to be. And then there's a couple of ways we can either put the vectors in here that we want to accommodate for, or we can reference a name in the machine token itself. So you'll see here that we've got this angled front polyline or pie cut front polyline, depending on what options we choose. So if we come back here, you'll see here pie cut front polyline. So it looks for that, and then it will pull that in. I find that a lot easier way of doing it that way, and then it will.
Yeah, so basically it'll end up being included in your edge band report, your linear feet or linear meters. It has an accounting for that as well, so it doesn't get, dropped. Abe has a really good question. Is it possible to specify edging on polylines on the part stickers? And what we've customized certain libraries where you can put an X indicator. Almost, we kind of had I don't want to say fake it, but we created a fake hardware item that was an X that wasn't for draw only. So it would show up in the label, but it wouldn't actually, machine an X. And so you can customize that to include that. We haven't added that to this library yet. I don't think we have. Have we, Jamie?
No, well, this actually shows the edge. So on your image, on your label, this will actually, it does, yes. So what it will do is it'll be a black line. I'm pretty sure it does.
Okay.
I have to double check it, but I'm pretty sure it'll show a black line. So it won't be a cross, but it'll be a thicker black line.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that. I guess the customer I was working with wanted an X, to where it's really obvious what gets edged. And so there is a data solution for that, Abe. If you were really interested in it, reach out to your account manager, and we can look at either showing you how to do it, or you might have to have like a custom service where we can add that to your library. I don't know yet if we're going to add it to this. All right, I'm looking through my notes. Let me know, Clay, when you want us to. There's a couple more things I can show off, or we can take some more questions, or we can wrap it up. Tell me I don't want to overreach our 1 hour.
Yeah, we have gone over our hour, but I think we're on a good roll, highlighting a lot of good things, and getting a lot of feedback. So I think we can move on, continue on just for a little bit longer. If you guys want to see more, let us know in the chat and we'll keep going. Otherwise, we'll shoot to wrap it up here in just a little bit.
Yeah, it was the finished faces was the other thing, Jamie, that we haven't really showed them much. How that whole concept of what that is, that's very different than over here in North America, what we're used to.
It is. So in the past, I think there was a different subassembly for your left, your right, your drawers. So pretty much different subassembly for all the different faces. What we've got now is just the one subassembly that pretty much does everything. And it's all controlled just by a bay position. So if we come in to this product here, you notice here on these, that's the name of the subassembly. So this could be a finish stand, it could be a filler, it could be fascia, doors, drawers, anything. So it's all controlled by this bay position here. Now, if we come into the product itself, you'll notice here that there's really only a couple of components or a couple of parts in this product. If we go to our lookup table, so we've got a lookup table here, and it is quite easy. It's just pretty much the bay number here. Okay, the name, so that's pretty much the name it's going to call it. And then this is the description of what it is. So for a half overlay, full overlay, inset, angle, door, base door, upper door, tall door. So everything looks at this table here, whether it's got hinges, whether it's a corner hinge, what material it's out of, the hinge plates, the handle position, edging, thickness. So pretty much everything's contained in this table for that. And it is quite easy. It's like you can start adding, come down the bottom, we can start adding more and more different options here. For that, we might have a different style of door. We can actually add that here. So this is for our flat panel doors. It's not for our routed doors or our 5-piece doors, but it will follow the same rules with those doors as well to a degree. But it's quite good because with this, you can just print this out as well, have this on the wall, and you know exactly what bay position is what. Just by changing the bay position over here, we can actually change what type of door it is. Quite quick and easy. There's times when you've got a cabinet there and you don't want any hinges on the door or a handle. You just want a face. You can just quickly come over here and change that. You can see here, okay, the panel is just 0. So I can put the bay position to 0 over here. There we go. I've got no hinges or handle. So you can quickly come in here and change that. You might have customized a cabinet and you don't want a base door. You might want an upper door. It'll change the handle position and so on. So
yeah,
it looks a little bit daunting. As the table looks a bit daunting, but it's quite easy. Once you understand it, it's quite easy.
Yeah, at first I wasn't sold. I was like, I don't know, Jamie, you know, but and the more I started using it, I was like, okay, gosh, this is a lot easier, especially the one subassembly to maintain.
Well, that's the biggest thing is maintaining one subassembly. We can quickly change that, make fixes to it, and yeah, we're not going through 10 different subassemblies to do the same fix. So,
did we show how easy it is to add a pull or handle?
A handle. So okay, so with your handles, pretty much. If we come in here.
Sorry, I'm throwing all kinds of things at you, Jamie. Keep you on your toes.
So pretty much with that, it's really just adding it to your hardware list. There's my handles, so it's just adding.
Yeah, there's no lookup table to deal with.
Well, of course, it won't show us to change the bay position, but
yeah, that won't work.
I'll just change it to a right door. There we go.
I think you stomped it in the spreadsheet. Oh, it did work. Okay.
No, I just stomped that one, the left-hand door. So yeah, quite quick and easy, really. Yeah, there's no lookup tables anymore. It's just simply going in, to your material file, hardware, come into your handles, add a handle, add the machining to it, done. So
Yeah, so that's another example of it's just simpler. There's just less
same with
hassle.
hinges as well. You can
Yeah.
come in here, copy one of these hinges. You might have to change the machining, rename it, done. That's it. There's your hinge.
Yeah. Sweet.
So
Okay, well, the last question we'll take. So Jeremy pointed out, he was very observant. We're using the prompt value as
yes.
used quite a bit. So like for your shelves and stuff, maybe we show that and then we'll call it good.
Yep.
Like some people, I don't want to go too much later.
Yep. So over here, you'll see here, we're using this prompt value. It just makes it a lot easier instead of having all different shelves, different sub-assemblies, a base, tall, upper sub-assembly. Just makes it a lot easier. We can have the generalized prompts, shelf quantity, and that's it. And then we can use this prompt value to pass that value to the sub-assembly itself. A lot of the formulas, a lot of the things we're doing, it makes it a lot easier using this prompt value. There's a lot of times where we don't want it to look at a certain prompt or to inherit a certain prompt from the local. We can change that. So you can see here that we've got two different inserts here. That's when we split the cabinet. Two different ones here, but we can control what prompt it's looking at for the shelf, setbacks, for quantities and everything like that. So just one thing you've got to remember with this is, just make a change here quickly. If we are saving that back, we ever do save it back to our library here, it will give us this here, resolve prompt conflict. So we always want to click on that, and you'll see here shelf quantity. So if I had to save that back, that would have stomped on that formula because it's coming from that prompts value. So you just got to be aware of that. That's all.
And in case I get accused of avoiding a topic, I also forgot to mention this does not have a carcass subassembly, so we don't probably have too much time to get into it. But be thinking about that too. That if you notice, all the main body parts are no longer in a subassembly, and some people are fine with that. Some people are having some concerns with that. Notice how those are the parts, and so that's something that we're going to be thinking about. Maybe adding, I don't know, maybe someday we can add a new tool, but I think that we'd like to collect feedback on what are some things that people are using the subassembly carcass for, and we're collecting that kind of information for making project. That's the biggest place where people use a subassembly carcass is project level changes. So we're looking at maybe a different way of going about that. So I didn't want to have this topic without mentioning that. The Rod is asking, when is this expected to be released? We don't have a hard set date. We want to make sure it's 100%. So it's most likely, I don't know, you want to take a stab at that, Jamie? What's your gut saying? Like at some point next year?
Yeah, so
What do you think?
First half of the next year. It's still a lot of work. We want to get this done properly. We don't want to just ship something out that's half-baked.
Yeah, it's going to do a lot of testing. We're probably going to collect candidates that are willing to beta test it, do a lot of documentation. We want it to go out, right out the gate. We don't want any false starts. As you know, with library data, there's just almost unlimited number of combination of settings. We just don't know what to expect, what people may choose to do. So we want to make sure it's as solid as possible.
Yep.
And also, like I said, this is not an updated library. Like this is a completely new structure. It's not compatible at all with what you're using right now. This would be a restart, a reset.
Yeah. But the good thing about all these master cabinets, they're pretty much your builders. So, there might be people out there that just want the builders and they build their own library. You've got that option where you can create whatever you want. You're not limited to what we ship out. So it's going to be a lot easier to build your own custom cabinets as well. plus maintain those cabinets. You know, from these builders, you can pretty much make some changes to these builders and rebuild the whole library. So, like I said, these master cabinets are pretty much going to do probably 90% of your cabinets in your library.
All right, Clay, and thank you, Jamie. I think I don't have anything else. I think we should probably wrap it up. But thank you, everybody, for your questions. You're really good, insightful questions. I can tell you were paying attention. It is interesting, very interesting, isn't it? So I'm super stoked to get this out there as soon as possible, but as safely as possible. We don't want to rush it.
All right. Well, thank you both, Lenny and Jamie, for helping with this review. Definitely a lot of information we covered. There's probably a lot more that has not been shown for as much as we did show today. And so obviously there's been a lot of work put on this, a major emphasis on speed. I'm always impressed whenever I see one of those products out of that library draw. It's super fast. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our educational sessions today. We appreciate you taking the time to be here. We will be resuming our schedule tomorrow morning at 7:00 a.m. for our final day of this week's activities. The topics will be the same, but again, the content that is delivered will be slightly different, as if you've been here all day, you've been experiencing day by day, it's slightly different. So hopefully you'll be back for another day of education. Until then, we hope you learned something new, something that will continue to help you streamline the way you work, and we will see you back here tomorrow.